Hi, welcome to Podcast Heroes. We're your hosts, Billy,
Bentley,
and Aaron.
We got some exciting stuff today. Going to talk about some news. Heroes of the Dorm just happened this last Sunday. Got a new champion rumor going around. Also, for our recurring segment every week, we got Watch Us Climb, where we talk about our experience in Hero League. So let's just start out today with some introductions about ourselves. Bentley, why don't you go ahead and start?
my name's Bentley, and I usually play mostly Assassins. I've kind of strayed from that and played a lot of Zagara, but Vala's been my main, and I'm trying to get her Master Skin. But Aaron, I know you have gotten a Master Skin lately.
Yes, I got Sylvanas' Master Skin this week, and it looks amazing, and I'm all bejeweled and beautiful. And I've also been playing, I got a skin for Brightwing. It's the only way to replace her super annoying voice with monkey sounds. So I got the monkey skin.
The monkey skin.
So I've been playing a lot of Brightwing, a lot of Sylvanas. Still loving my supports and my specialists.
Yeah, so we kind of got like a combination of cast going on here. Bentley, a big assassin player. Aaron, a big support specialist, if I can speak specialist. Combination loves to control the map. And then myself, I'm a huge tank fan, huge warrior fan.
Nice.
With, of course, my addiction to Diablo, who I've played.
You're amazing.
Out of my 200 games I played, I think I played 120 Diablo games.
Nice.
It's led me to rename it Doublo in the name of your handle, Double Trouble.
That's true. Very true. All right, so let's talk about some news real quick. And of course, we got the new free rotation that just came out today, Tuesday, of course, being today.
Who's in it?
The rotation is Diablo, Muradin, Raynor, Tyrande, Zeratul.
Tyrande.
Is it
Tyrande?
I thought it was, I don't know.
Tyrande.
Tyrande.
I think it depends on where you're
Tyrande.
from, maybe.
And
Yeah, I think it's definitely a cultural.
Tyrande.
It's kind of a lack of caring too. Gazlo, and then to wrap it up is, of course, Tassadar. So what do you guys think about this rotation?
I love Tyrande. Means that everybody you play with is going to be the perfect Diablo Tyrande combo.
Yeah, a lot of supports on this rotation. But I have seen a very strong Gazlo recently, which got me worried. I didn't really think he was a strong hero at first. Not a lot of people playing him when I started the game. Now he's become very popular. His turrets are everywhere. You know, he's,
Mm-hmm. And Tassadar is one of the supports that he's not got a ton of healing, but he's got a ton of damage potential.
Well, yeah, of course, we talked about Heroes of the Dorm earlier, and he was definitely one of the most consistently played supports in that game, whereas he's one of the only supports in this game without a heal. I think he might actually be the only one. I'm trying to think of one that even also doesn't have a heal.
No.
Interesting. Yeah, because he only gives shields.
Yeah.
And vision.
He can shield, he can vision, he's got
that
pool
wall
of energy, the wall
The wall is that, and I don't see a lot of people
Force
taking
wall.
it, but it's very
Some of the teams in Heroes of the Dorm were taking Force Wall.
Yeah, and it depends on the map for sure, but I can see how the other
Every
one,
time they take Force Wall, I'm like, all right, Tassadar is not a threat.
Yeah.
It's true. Okay, so out of this free rotation, what do you guys think is the dream comp? Just out of the free heroes.
I can't believe that they gave Diablo and Tyrande in the same.
Well, yeah, because of course they got that huge not old synergy, but E synergy. Lunar Flare from Tyrande,
Yeah, so Diablo,
and then Diablo's Overpower, which flips them over. And what typically happens is Diablo just flips them over right into Tyrande's Lunar Flare, stunning them for quite a long time, allowing anyone else. So yeah, so we can put those two down. You know, you got your tank, you got one of your supports. What would you flesh out with the last three?
Tyrande's great. I mean, anybody who, like Diablo, who can keep them in a still position, keep them within range of people who can just wail on them like Tyrande can.
I think Raynor, you gotta have some really good auto attack DPS there, especially with Tyrande's passive or trait, her D, which increases damage done by 25%.
Yes.
You could probably,
yes. Very key. Very key.
Yeah, and you can almost throw in Zeratul then at that point because he's very bursty. He's a very good melee assassin. And I think you round that out with Tassadar. You know, you get that.
Throw that shield on Zeratul and he's ready to go. Slice and dice, jumping around.
And so there you go, community. There's your perfect combination from this
perfect
free
team
rotation. Diablo, Tyrande,
If
Tassadar,
you've just started the game,
Zeratul, and Raynor. In other news, we had Heroes of the Dorm just pop up. While we'll talk a little bit more in depth about what happened in Heroes of the Dorm a little bit later in the podcast. We did have some outrage about Heroes of the Dorm on two different, completely polar opposite sides for two different reasons. Of course, the geeky community had one kind of set outrage, and the jock side of things kind of had an outrage. Finley, why don't you break it down for us?
ESPN 2, I think it was, that was broadcasting it. I heard some announcers, the sports announcers, saying
it was
that this
ESPN 3.
No, ESPN 3 broadcast online. ESPN 2 broadcast on television.
Oh, cool.
Over the nation. And a lot of the native sports announcers were just very mad.
Well, the most popular being Colin Cowherd.
Exactly. And he was like, if they ever asked me to, announce or talk about a game, I think I would up and quit.
He would up and quit.
It very over the community, especially on Twitter. A lot of outcry on there.
People saying things like, "Well, what's on ESPN right now? Why are we watching video games? This is a sports network."
Yep.
And then, of course, there's the nerdy side of things. With ESPN getting involved, they kind of kept it closed chest, so they didn't allow any live broadcasting of the game on like Twitch or Azubu or any of those other live internet streaming. And pretty much said, they pretty much came out and said, if you want to watch this grand finals of this tournament, you have to have ESPN. You have to be able to watch ESPN on your TV. Otherwise, you're left in the dark.
I don't think that they'll make that decision again in the future.
Right.
Because so much of the gaming audience is on Twitch.
Exactly.
Well, and I mean, also, a lot of our generation, 20-year-olds, a lot of them don't buy cable anymore because they can find most of what they want to watch online.
I've got my internet.
Yep.
That's
yeah,
it.
I mean, and
internet only.
And I'm the only one here with cable, apparently. So, gotta love it. Moving on, we got release dates announced officially. We got the 19th of May for open beta in the United States and the 20th of May for Europe.
And the release date is June 2nd. We are going to be seeing a lot of noobs, and your games are going to take a plunge into losing all the time because of new players.
So
just be patient and be nice to them.
So open beta, does that mean that whoever who wants to play it early now, they can just sign up and play before it comes out?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
That'll mean anyone who has a Battle.net account can get access to the game. They get to play it.
Essentially, it's going to be a stress test on the servers to see if they can handle a launch. And by the time it's at launch, really anyone who is actively seeking it has it already.
Exactly.
You can even get it now. There's so many beta keys in circulation. You could pretty much get one online in an hour.
So there you heard it. Aaron can guarantee you a beta key if you in contact.
If you need a beta key, let me know.
But I think a lot of the hardcore players already paid the $20 to buy into the Founders Pack.
40, wasn't it?
It was $29.99 for me.
Okay.
I think they kind of fluctuated the price. I think they dropped it, not too long back.
Yeah,
or something like that.
And that's worth every penny versus the big games, the $60 Call of Duty games.
Absolutely. Well, and Aaron bought me the Founders Pack for my birthday, or was it the Nexus bundle? One of those two bundles, and it came with a couple of free champions as well as a couple of free skins.
Exactly.
Been loving it so far. I've definitely gotten however much gameplay out of it.
Well, the thing is Billy comes from a background of League of Legends. And I won't lie, he's really great at League of Legends, but it made him so reluctant to play Heroes. And I was like, dude, I will buy you this game, and you can play 15 matches. And if you hate it, then I'll just eat the loss. But I know that you're going to love it. So after 15 matches, you can pay me back. So he played, and he enjoyed it. And then I just gave it to him for his birthday.
Thank God for birthday, right?
Yep.
All right, so our last little bit of news that we got going on here, amongst everything else that's going on, you'll see on the forums commonly a lot of frustration about heroes staying too strong for too long, bugs aren't getting fixed in the game. Essentially, they're getting mad at Blizzard for not releasing patches quickly.
Yeah.
But luckily, we had a recent rumor come out from Gosu Gaming, who interviewed a few of Blizzard developers at Heroes of the Dorm, and they said that there's been a huge internal push towards increasing the speed at which patches come out. What do you think this means for the game, Aaron?
Well, I've been really impressed. I don't know when you guys joined, but I had an account in alpha, and I was really impressed with the speed of which they have released champions, in contrast to other games. And I was also impressed that during the beta they rolled out multiple maps, and that impresses me because from what I read, they said that they're not going to stop making maps. They want to make as many maps as they can, and that really excites me because that's what I want, is constant change.
All right, well, so for a counterpoint for that, Bentley mentioned earlier when we were just palling around at first, he wanted to see, what was it, less maps, more champions.
Yeah,
right?
I actually heard a lot of people talking about how the more maps you put into this game, especially with
The less balanced it will be.
Well, that too, and especially with this onslaught of new players, hopefully, well, not hopefully, we know a lot of players are going to be coming into this game, and a bunch of new maps. They have no idea how to play it. How many maps do we got now? Like,
there's like, 6? Is that
Yeah.
right? We got Pirates, we got Haunted Mines, Spiders, Shire, Dragon Shire.
Say balloons.
Yeah, I said the balloons already. We got Sky Temple, and I know there's at least one more, isn't there? Or is
Garden?
it just 5?
Garden.
Garden of Terror.
and I mean, and that's already a lot for it. A new player who especially has never played a MOBA, this is especially who they're targeting, is brand new MOBA players. You know, that's a lot of mechanics that they have to get used to. I would like to see some more heroes.
I think that the overall simplicity in just playing the game the game is so approachable for new people.
Yes.
You know, with team-wide experience is a huge benefit for this game, and a new player can come in and have a huge impact on the game and not lag behind just because they're new.
Yeah, and that actually has been some of the speculation I've been seeing also on the forums talking about how this game is incredibly casual. Do you guys feel like it's a game for casuals compared to? I mean,
I don't like the term casual.
Yeah.
I mean, we look at League of Legends and we look at Dota, and those have huge skill caps because it depends on last hitting minions.
Yes.
It depends on map control. It depends on knowing your champion and how they interact with others, knowing build paths of items. Yeah,
Big
items
deal.
is a huge deal. Whereas HOTS dropped that, they decided to go with just champion specific type things.
And even currency, gold. Gold is not a thing.
I really like
It's all
that they
experience.
diversified in contrast to other MOBAs. They all tend to fall into that same category of we have items. There's this specific meta. I really like that Heroes opens up the possibilities. It took out the items element and just focused on, well, what are the changes in the moment that the player can enact to affect change on the map.
But on that same note, though, can you answer the question, does this game become more casual because of that?
I think that there's
I think-
definitely it's more approachable to new players. It's definitely going to fulfill the market for casual players who just want to have a game for 20 minutes and then step away. The time of the game is
Time
what
is
really
huge.
is going to attract the casual players, and that's not a bad thing. There can be casual players alongside the competitive players, and I think that this game fulfills the need for both of them.
I can definitely see that, Bentley.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I can see a lot of hostile environments in the quick matches. Some players better than others. You can tell there's a lot of new players, mixed in with some very experienced MOBA players. A lot of clash of what you should be doing, what I am doing. But I mean, it's a pretty casual game overall. Not too serious, and the time again helps not get boring. You know, you don't want to leave this game. You're not. I'm done. Surrender. There's not even a surrender button.
Right, yeah, you don't even need to worry about surrender because 20 minutes later you're done.
Sometimes
You're
I wish
definitely
there
done.
was a surrender.
Sometimes, yeah, I fully agree. I think actually the casual aspect is great for the game. It's a double-edged sword. Sure, it'll turn away some of the really experienced MOBA players. I can't really see some of the top tier like Dota and League players switching over from those games into this game because of the skill cap difference. But on the same hand, a shorter game as well as an easier to understand game makes it so much better for a TV audience.
Yeah.
Which leads us to our next topic, Heroes of the Dorm. Heroes of the Dorm was a huge competition that just happened. Something like 600 different schools, or that we'll have to get exact numbers on that, of course. But huge number of schools all entered into this competition, and they all played the grand final prize, which was free tuition for the players on that team. It also was the first esport broadcasted on a major network in America.
Really?
On ESPN2.
Okay.
ESPN2 is known, a little bit more for the odd games. They have like competitive eating.
Initially, I was really
poker.
excited when I heard about that.
Sure, yeah, and it really brought to my mind, at least, I'm thinking, I'm used to League of Legends. Some of these games can last an hour and 10 minutes. How is that going to work in it for a TV audience? But it did such a great job.
And I think it helps that they do 3 rounds. Like how they did 3 rounds. Per each team bracket, basically, and
right.
that kind of helped fill in some gaps.
It was a round robin.
Yeah, because it's basically, if you average it out, 20 minutes per match, 3 matches, that's roughly like an hour. Cut some time here and there. I think they did a really good job.
And it did allow for commercial breaks. I was watching it on ESPN3, and after every game, they would have about a 3, 4, 5 minute commercial break, which allows for better sponsorship from who you don't typically see sponsoring an esport.
Already the argument is that EU for Heroes is better than NA. It can't be argued in terms of quantity. They definitely have more teams that are sticking together than NA does. But over there, I think it's just culturally different. I think that it's more accepted as something that is skilled, you can be skilled at, whereas here in America, I think people are still kind of lagging behind, thinking that video games, don't waste your time with video games. They're not, they're not.
Sure, yeah, the audience can kind of help out there. I wonder, because one of the big complaints with this was that it's pretty much broadcasted only in America. Only people have access to ESPN, which doesn't translate over into Asia. It doesn't go over to Europe.
Which I know the Asian market for esports is huge. I know StarCraft, even League of Legends.
Right.
And it was interesting. Canada couldn't watch, but they had teams competing because it was an NA competition.
Right. Exactly. So I bet that brings a lot of flack. Well, it has already brought a lot of flack.
I think that they're definitely
it'll bring even more. So I reckon for future events, it'll probably not be just ESPN exclusive. Then again, does ESPN want to get involved with something? That'll be a question to get answered in the future. Something I really liked about it was the fact that it was a collegiate game. What that allowed was for, specifically with the grand finals, it was against UC Berkeley and Arizona State University. So people who have no idea what esports are or even know what Heroes of the Storm is or anything like that could suddenly relate. It's like, oh, Arizona, I have a friend that went to Arizona State University.
Exactly.
I'm going to cheer for these guys because they're from Arizona State University. It's not like we're watching Cloud9 versus Team Liquid or something like that. People who have no relationship at all. It was a collegiate tournament. I think that was a really awesome stepping point for them to do. So let's transition from talking about Heroes of the Dorm in general to talking about the exact game that happened. I want to focus, it was like a March Madness almost with how they set up a bracket. But I want to focus specifically on the grand finals, which was against UC Berkeley and Arizona State University. Easily the 2 best teams in the competition, as the caster said. UC Berkeley didn't even lose a game until the grand finals, and Arizona State had only dropped like 2 games. It was 5 games, going to all 5 because it was a best of 5 in order to see who would win. The way it broke down is the very first map was the doubloon map, the pirate map, and then if a team lost, they got to pick themselves the next map that would be played. And that's how they bounced it back and forth all the way up until Game 5, which, of course, means it went 2-2 in the series, and then UC Berkeley claimed the final game. So let's talk about it just as a series in general. Bentley, what were your takeaways?
I noticed a lot of recurring heroes coming up in these, hero picks here. We got Jaina, a very strong damage dealer. and we always had a Rhaegar, and Illidan in every single match. We had an Illidan, and Illidan always dominated. Tastar always had his shield on him. Jaina just pushing out that damage. It was just great stuff.
And we commonly saw Sylvanas, we commonly saw Diablo, as well as Brightwing. It really felt like those 6 champions were commonly played, with other ones being interspersed. Lost Vikings in Game 5. We got Falstad in Game 1. What's your takeaway? What do you think of those 6 champions being recurring themes? Or is it because they're very strong champions? Is it because they work well in team fights? What's your take on that, Aaron?
They're definitely really strong champions. Brightwing, when I looked at Hot's logs last, was close to a 60% win rate. The only other people with that was the Lost Vikings.
Interesting.
And then Jaina and Illidan are just such common picks. You pointed out earlier that Illidan has not lost a game.
I think Bentley was mentioning that in the grand finals, whatever team got Illidan was the team that would end up winning.
Yeah, and I think that's a good sign for maybe the developers to maybe push out maybe a patch of some sort. Maybe a little nod there, but nothing too serious.
Yeah, but don't touch Sylvanas. She's perfect.
Aaron being a big Sylvanas fan, pretty much the only character he plays that isn't a support, it seems. Okay, so we go to a best of 5. It took about 2 hours. The competition took about 2 hours to do. Do you guys feel like that was too long? Should they have made it a best of 3 for the grand finals? Do you think a best of 5 is the right way? What are your thoughts on how it progressed?
I thought it was great. I thought the timing was fine. 5 games seems fair. They might, they could have included 6 and just say, let's do every map. But I thought that the way that they did it was fine. I think that it was conducive to being on television.
What do you think about the strategy Blizzard employed there, letting the losing team pick a map? Because if I remember correctly from the grand finals, they talked about each map that was picked by the losing team was a map that the losing team felt they were very strong at. And we saw it almost every time that a team lost, the next game they won because they got to pick their map. For instance, Game 1, ASU lost. And so they got to pick Haunted Mines. And then we watched them play on Haunted Mines. They almost appeared flawless. They knew exactly what they were doing. They got a couple of goblins that were 90-plus skulls strong. Mm. It was huge. Golems, not goblins, sorry. Golems. Do you think that'll have an impact? Do you think that's something Blizzard might change? Or?
Yes. I think that, because that obviously implies that these guys have been practicing, obviously. That they didn't come in here unprepared, but they've been practicing, and they obviously picked which map to do the best strategies, and they practiced those strategies really well. And that's probably one of the reasons why they picked Dragon Shower at the end, and why their team comp was how it is, because they were ready, and they knew what to do. They practiced.
It's almost like they came into the game like, okay, this isn't our strongest map. I know we can lose this. We can lose this on purpose almost, so we can get our strong map.
That's a little.
I wouldn't say it wasn't to that extent, because they certainly played their hearts out in every game. But I feel like that could almost lead to that happening in future games. Aaron?
I can see where you're coming from, but I think that part of what makes the game balanced, in that we know that certain champions are strong, is that certain champions are more powerful in certain maps. So I think that you have to be prepared to play every map, because that's what makes it balanced. I think that being able to choose is a good thing, because you can play to your strengths. But I think maybe it's more balanced if it's random.
I agree. Or maybe a voting system almost. That might be interesting.
Or just add the extra game.
A fan pick kind of thing, like live tweet in
that would be a very cool.
I think that would be pretty interesting.
Text in now what map you want to see played next or something.
See which one.
We could almost have, it's like they went to, a 5th map, a 5th game. Why not make the tie-breaking game?
Yeah.
The one that's fan voted. I think that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Or they could just add the 6th one and make it be all 6 maps.
Aaron just wants to see all 6 maps. That's all he cares about. All right, so congratulations to UC Berkeley. All 5 of those players get free tuition now for the rest of their college careers for 4 years.
$50 million.
If only. I know they get to walk away with a lot of credit, in-game credit, some other things. Pretty nice perks.
I'm sure we haven't seen the last of them.
Oh yeah, they might come back. At least a few of them. A few of them played pretty well, like Fam.
Yeah.
Trying to think, AKA Face was on that team, I believe too. All very fantastic players. So it'll be interesting to see what happens once they, if once the pro scene develops more after open release, and see if any of these guys get picked up, or if it'll be just a completely different pool of players. So let's move on then. We got new champion rumor. Aaron, go ahead.
Kale Thas. He's gonna come and he's gonna burn everything to the ground. And we all played against him. He's the raid boss from World of Warcraft.
Yeah, so those of you who don't know who Kael'thas is, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Aaron, because I got my notes right here. Got to break this down. I know me and Aaron played World of Warcraft and Warcraft. Bentley, are you a Warcraft only guy?
I'm a Warcraft only, and I did play the Warcraft 3 Dota, so I'm familiar with the Invoker kind of.
With what kind of Kael'thas is.
With his character, yes.
Those of you who don't know who his lore, he comes from the Warcraft universe. He's Lord of the Blood Elves until he betrays his people and kind of allies himself with Illidan Stormrage. That happens around the Burning Crusade patch in World of Warcraft. Eventually betrays Illidan too, kind of a guy out for his own self, and he decides to join the Burning Legion. And that's where he becomes a raid boss.
Interesting.
There's also a little bit of a love triangle going on. I know Aaron loves the fact that there's character interaction at the beginning of the game.
It's my favorite thing.
I know you cited specifically Thrall and Rhaegar, how they interact sometimes. So it almost makes me wonder what'll happen when we introduce Kael'thas into this. See, if
there's just going to be a ton of drama.
Yeah, there's a love triangle between Illidan, Jaina, and Kael'thas. So it'll be interesting to see, maybe they'll bust something out like that, just at the beginning of the game. Got a little Twilight going on here, so
Yeah. That would be exciting.
Let's talk about abilities. So in World of Warcraft, he was kind of cited as a mage warrior hybrid. Bentley's throwing around the word invoker.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I mean, I don't know how they can, expand as much. He's obviously a mage, and magic. I'd hate to see another specialist. We've had a lot of specialists in the game. I'd like to see him mix it up a little bit, but if it's leaning towards assassin.
I'm feeling ranged assassin.
I'm thinking ranged assassin as well. If we look at the abilities he used in World of Warcraft, he had a summon Phoenix ability. I really don't see how that can be a mechanic in this game. Maybe as an ultimate, if anything.
Maybe as an ultimate, and then once he reaches his 20, maybe the Phoenix can turn into an egg and come back again.
Or something like that. Yeah, it could almost kind of like Kerrigan's, is it? Kerrigan's, that does that? Yeah. Her little thing.
Spawns another one when it dies. Yeah.
Right. So summon Phoenix was one of the things he did. I remember the AoE Flame Strike being particularly annoying in World of Warcraft.
Oh, yeah.
That can easily be a mechanic in this game.
Wipe the raid.
Yeah, exactly. Shock Barrier was a shield, which can, a self-cast shield. We got Arcane Disruption. It disoriented raiders for, I think, 10 seconds and was a huge mechanic in that game. I mean, you had to avoid that, or you had to have a PvP trinket to get out of it. Otherwise, it could be deadly, especially if, all your healers and stuff were disoriented for 10 seconds. Your tank melts like that. So that would be an interesting mechanic to bring into the game. And lastly, Fireball. He had, just single target damage Fireball that also dealt damage over time, I believe, and it was just a huge burst. To me, this is feeling a lot like an Annie or a Brand from League of Legends. What do you guys think? What do you think? What abilities do you think he might have? What about that?
I have no idea. I totally know what you're talking about. He's going to be the Fire Mage. He's going to be the Fire Mage we all wanted. He's going to have a really cool skin. And he's going to be all on fire. It's going to be awesome. We could only speculate about what it's going to be. But I'm excited. Blizzard does it well. And they give us just enough to tease us.
Be interesting to see whether they come out. Bentley, what are your thoughts?
I just really hope that because it seems like every hero they've been coming out with lately has just been extremely overpowered. I mean, and I know that's very familiar with every other MOBA. The new character is always going to be overpowered.
Come out. We got to figure out how to balance it live testing.
The thing with heroes is that there's a lot of combos going on with different heroes. We saw, for example, in Heroes of the Dorm, Tyrande and Diablo. I wonder if, Sylvanas. I mean, you could see how she destroyed those towers within the first couple minutes. I wonder if they're going to start, maybe molding characters around pre-existing characters.
So like, make
I mean the skill wise.
right. So make him kind of like a way to counter Sylvanas or
Exactly.
something like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like Incinerate or Mortal Strike, something to counter healers. That's the big.
Kind of get like a grievous wounds thing going on.
Mhm.
Okay, I like that.
There's something they call it something different in every game, but something that decreases the amount of healing that they can receive.
We're seeing a lot of powerful dual healer teams going on.
Oh yeah,
here.
double
Yeah.
support.
Double support is very strong in the new meta, and it's dangerous.
Yeah, so that's definitely one way it could be built. Excuse me. But Bentley, you had a really interesting idea earlier that we were talking about. All the pictures you see of Kael'thas, he has 3 orbs surrounding him. So I believe what you had said was his trait, his D, could be a way to activate each different orb.
Yeah, and kind of play it as I'm not sure the League of Legends character has the card. Who's the
Twisted Fate.
So kind of almost like Twisted Fate is almost kind of like Invoker. How you can kind of switch his abilities depending on whichever card he has. So maybe whichever orb he has a different element to it. His trait maybe be able to switch to different elements, counter different heroes. Different situations. Maybe his fire, orb might do some more stuns. His cold might slow. His green might heal. We can mix it up. I mean, I'm just throwing out speculation here, but this seems like a strong possibility.
Almost make it so like he can morph almost like Chase, like Nidalee, or like you were saying, Twisted Fate with his W. He has the gold card for his stun, blue card to regenerate mana,
Exactly.
the red card to do AoE damage. Yeah, okay, I'm liking that.
Kind of mixing up merging the roles and characters, not really defining one character to one role. We've seen Tassadar actually be a huge damage dealer if built right, and I mean Muradin is basically a giant punching bag, but if built like the other way does no damage almost.
Yeah,
so
well, that's definitely one of my favorite ways to build Muradin.
Exactly.
Taking that Q that does 400% damage to structures and just melting things all along my path. Yeah, it'd be fun to see a champion who can almost play 3 different roles instead of having 2 different roles.
Exactly.
And not even have it dependent on build path, but almost what D he has selected, what sphere he has selected.
I don't know what he's gonna be like, but I smell a nerf.
Oh yeah. And actually,
always.
building off the new characters, me and Aaron actually noticed this, but with the newest UI patch, we noticed a lot more open hero slots.
That's
yeah.
true. Let's talk about this for a second.
At
There's
least 12.
A lot of hero slots, and I don't know if this is like the maximum that they have planned, but it's pretty. It's nice to see that they're planning ahead and kind of giving us a nice tease of what's to come here.
Absolutely.
And next podcast I'll bring a list. I found a list of models that have been added to the game at one point or another, and it's worth looking at if for nothing else, but hoping that those characters come.
Yeah.
But there's quite a few, at least 8 of them that are in there.
They're completely character models like.
And it's not just
in-game
Warcraft.
design,
There's
right.
definitely a huge majority, like 70% of the characters are from World of Warcraft.
Yeah, well, it's such a huge universe compared to StarCraft.
Oh, yeah.
StarCraft, there's only so many humans, so many. I don't even know
Exactly.
all the StarCraft things out there. And then there's also Diablo. I do remember one class I loved playing in Diablo was Amazon. The couple of times I did it, so it would be fun to see a hero like that. But yeah, Diablo was a little bit limited. What's the other game? What am I forgetting? StarCraft. StarCraft is a little bit limited, kind of like that. But World of Warcraft has so many options.
Yeah, I'd actually like to see a lot more heroes in the other universes. I played World of Warcraft. I mean Warcraft 3 a lot, but not really so much of the World of Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
And I big fan of the StarCraft and Diablo universe. There's a lot of characters that they can take advantage of in this. I mean, the whole storyline of StarCraft is very deep. I mean, it goes way back. This game is really old. So, and I've noticed especially with the different roles in the different universes. You know how the daily quests always ask, play 3 games of support, play 3 games of a character in the, Diablo universe. What if there's no support in the Diablo universe? I'd like to, be able to mix around my roles and universes.
And that does bring up something I noticed the other day. In League of Legends, I'm a huge support player. That's pretty much all I like to do because I suck at everything else. And so I was looking at the support characters in this game because I figured that'd be the way I want to go. I noticed every single support character in this game, minus Tassadar, is from World of Warcraft.
Yes.
Or the Warcraft universe.
Yes.
There's no Diablo, like you were just saying, there's no Diablo support characters out there, and there's only one from StarCraft. Do you guys think the universes of StarCraft, of Diablo, lend itself to be more or further away from support because there really isn't a support role in those games? Or
Well, I'm really in favor of adding the character Lazy Peon to the game. Because it was such an icon in Warcraft 3. But then we could just skin it for the StarCraft workers.
There you go.
And then they can just run around, and that can be our, they can repair buildings and build things on the battlefield.
And another cool thing is I know the Lost Vikings is actually listed as a whole nother universe. It's actually listed as a Warcraft.
It's one of those
Blizzard
really early on
classics.
Blizzard classics.
So I wonder if they throw in like a Diablo 1 class with, I guess that would still fall under Diablo, but like I'm trying to think of what other characters would fall into the Blizzard classics,
all I think about is Deckard Cain.
See, and Deckard Cain would be perfect support for Diablo.
There you go. So there's some other options. I wonder what else we'll see. And if you guys are thinking of something that we haven't thought of ourselves, go ahead and let us know. Well, that's something we'll talk about next week some more as we see more patches come out, hopefully, and anything like that. All right, so we got about 5 minutes left in our podcast. Let's go ahead and talk about Watch Us Climb. So this is going to be a recurring segment every week. Bentley missed out on this one this past week, unfortunately.
Yes.
But basically what we're going to do is we're going to be playing ranked games throughout the week because we really want to be as high ranked as we can, get as good as we can at this game. And we're going to reference some games we played and talk about a specific combination that we played on a specific map and just break it down and talk about why it won or if we were just lucky because we won. The game we decided to pick this week was played in Haunted Mines. Me and Aaron were playing it with our good friend Kyle. We found another guy who we'd just been solo queuing with who also joined us. And our team comp was Thrall, Rhaegar, Diablo, Illidan, and Brightwing. We've already talked about Illidan a lot. Heroes of the Dorm, every single game he was played in, he was undefeated. In the grand finals, I should specify. I don't know about any of those really early on games, but in the grand finals, he was undefeated.
And can I ask, who were you guys playing?
I was playing Diablo.
Of course.
Of course. Huge Diablo person.
I was all over Brightwing.
And he was all over Brightwing.
Okay.
Our friend Kyle was on Illidan.
Okay.
And he's a big support player, or assassin player, just like yourself. And then the other two guys, one who we had just met, the other who we had no idea at all, took the other two roles. So I can't really speak to their thought process behind what they were picking. But of course, if you notice in that comp, we had double support.
Exactly.
And double support seems to be incredibly, incredibly strong. Do you guys think that's something that needs to happen in every game, or is there some supports that can just play solo role? Or
I can speak from experience that for sure have won games that have had no supports, and that was not. It wasn't easy versus a team with even just one support and no support. The supports have been playing a huge role in the whole meta of the game, and I think that they're going to be revamped here pretty shortly.
I think the healing is really strong. And when I'm on a team and the other team has a healer and we don't, I'm like, oh.
It always goes downhill,
yeah,
doesn't it?
It's never conducive.
Exactly.
But a lot of what I really liked in this game was the combination of what we had. So assassins tend to be really bursty, and Thrall and Illidan are easily two of the burstiest. Whereas Rhaegar and Brightwing are arguably two of the best healers, maybe outside of Uther and Lili. I still would rather have a Brightwing and Rhaegar on my team, but that's just my own personal opinion. So we've got two strong healers and two strong bursts, and then what could be said to be the heaviest tank in the game, the guy who can take the most punishment in Diablo.
Okay.
And why I like playing Diablo personally, and especially in ranked play, is how much he can control the enemy team. He has two ways of stunning them, as well as a way to reveal cloak champions with his W.
Yeah.
And then also, if he decides to take his Apocalypse ultimate, which I'm a huge fan of, I know a lot of people like to take that Lightning Breath for the damage, but that Apocalypse, if you're getting a good team fight going on and people are losing control of where they are, you throw that out of Apocalypse, you have a 5-man stun, no problem at all, and you can just clean up a fight.
Exactly. Not only does it help you reveal where they are in the map, but it also can kind of pause, similar to Zeratul Void Prism thing. It kind of gives you a little time to breathe. Let your team know what's going on. That little stun goes a long way. Huge
absolutely a long way. The fun thing to note about this game, though, was Rhaegar accidentally took Bloodlust. Bloodlust isn't that common. When I see pros play Rhaegar, I definitely see them take Ancestral Healing for that huge healing burst. But he accidentally clicked on Bloodlust. And of course, with heroes, you can't go back. You can't try something else. But I think this, in the end, benefited us. Aaron, what do you think?
Well, absolutely. It was awesome. We had so much damage, it didn't matter that we didn't have his healing. We had a Brightwing, and not to brag, but I'm awesome. And so, with the sustain from a Brightwing, you really don't need another healer. And so Rhaegar did the right thing in boosting our damage, because the other team didn't have... Do you remember, did they have 2 supports?
I believe they did. They just had no way to compete against us, though.
One of them was a Tassadar.
Yeah, when we were going up against their golem and they were fighting ours, we would melt theirs so fast. It didn't matter how many skills they
and at
got.
about 16 minutes into the game, we did it. We had a team fight that ended right near boss.
Yeah.
And we snagged boss, and the bloodlust happened, and it took about 12 seconds to get the boss down.
In order to get boss. We melted boss so fast.
Oh, it was awesome. And
because of that bloodlust.
And then it was just in time for them to arrive and get obliterated.
Yeah. No, okay, so what Aaron's referencing, just in case you missed it, we were fighting them in the mines. We had pretty much won in the mines, so we were cleaning it up, and we went to boss. We were fighting boss, and the guy blew Bloodlust in order to help us take down the boss faster.
Now, for people who don't play Rhaegar as much, what exactly does Bloodlust bring to the team?
Sure. So I think it's a 30% movement increase and a 40% attack speed increase.
Okay.
So it's, like heroism, like Bloodlust and World of Warcraft. It just helps you attack a lot faster.
Okay.
So he brought that to the fight. We melted that boss really quick, just in time. Like, I believe it was half a second later even, that the rest of the enemy team showed up. So all 5 of them had respawned and managed to make it back in base. Had he not taken Bloodlust, we would still be fighting boss. There would be that, random element roaming around with his AoE stun. Instead, we had managed to kill boss, and we were able to turn immediately on the enemy team, wipe them out, and then we went back up and pushed with our boss and won the game.
Absolutely. And we were strong the whole game.
And I feel it goes to show that it pays off sometimes to almost experiment with your heroes. If you're always set on one specific build, maybe depending on the game, maybe switch it up a little bit. Go a little bit more tanky, a little bit more DPS. Hey, our assassin's kind of not doing his job. Let's add some DPS. Let's go Bloodlust. Exactly.
And it really makes it so that there isn't a meta for how you have to build a champion.
Exactly.
I think you can accidentally click on something wrong. You can pick something that might have been right at the time, but late game it doesn't help. It doesn't matter. In the end, it's all about your skills. It's about you being able to coordinate a team fight with your team and draw the line in the sand right there. It's not about the traits, or it's not about the progression of your build. It's about how you play that champion.
Now, speaking of progression of the build, how do you guys feel about new heroes, as in level 1 heroes, not having a full, complete choice over what build they go with?
I think it's good. It helps introduce you to the champion. It lets you take a look at, what there is to start, and then you get to build up, and it rewards you for leveling that champion. It's saying, okay, you've done well enough to get past level 1. Here's some more abilities.
I think that it calls attention to what Blizzard is trying to do in Heroes, in that they don't want there to be one build for each champion that is strong. They want you to be able to choose in the moment at that point what you think is the best decision. And by limiting you, it forces you to try things that you might not have tried if other options were available, and see maybe that they were viable. Definitely makes you try the other ultimate, which I think is a good thing. I think because then most people, try the first ultimate, next game. They try the next ultimate, even if it's the bad one. Not that there's any bad ultimates, but there are certainly you certainly pick Ancestral Healing more than you pick Bloodlust.
Absolutely.
I agree, and it also encourages players to actually keep playing the hero. If they keep playing at first level and they're like, wow, I kind of like this. I wonder where else he can go. We can keep on playing, and he'll get the progression going. And I think it really helps the players.
All right. Well, that's all we got time for today. Great talk. Check out the comments below. Look for our emails or any other way to contact us in the description on this YouTube channel. Give us some feedback. Let us know how we're doing. Thank you for listening to Podcast Heroes, where we podcast about heroes. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you. Thank you for that tagline.
I'll
It's
fix
wonderful.
it.
And we're gonna cut it off.
Thank you for listening to Podcast Heroes, where we podcast about heroes.